The first question I have for you, do I call you Tom or Thomas?
You know what? Do I call you Paltrow
You
or
can.
Paltrowski? How do you
Well,
say your name?
Paltrowitz. It's like Gwyneth Paltrow with the "it's" at the end.
Wait, it's so what is it? What is it?
Paltrowitz. So
Paltrowitz.
you take the
Paltrowitz.
Gwyneth Paltrow, you put the "it's" at the end, and then you suddenly have a career, right?
But do you go by Darren?
I go by Darren, and hey,
Okay.
it's a pleasure to be speaking with you. Been
Oh
watching
man.
your
No,
projects for.
most people call me Thomas. In my professional life, call me whatever you want. I really don't care.
Sometimes you have to ask that. Like when I interviewed Tommy Lee, that's a name drop. I said, "Do I call you Tommy? Like, does anyone get to call you Tom?" And he said his mother when she was angry at him, and that's about it.
And everybody else calls him Tommy Lee.
Everyone calls him one name, Tommy
Oh,
Lee.
really?
That's it. So,
Well, Sarah Jessica Parker, if you've ever interviewed her, it's either SJ or it's the whole Sarah Jessica, which is a lot.
Do you get to do the THC? Because let's say you've got cool
A
initials.
lot of people since my youth, a lot of, oh yeah, THC. A lot of people just call me THC. A lot of people do.
Well,
But let's hit it running. Where are you, Darren?
Long Island, New York, a town called Long Beach. Have you ever been out here?
I don't know about Long Beach. I've been to Long Island for sure. Because I worked with SJ for 3 seasons, and she's way out at the end. What is the name of that? Narragansett? Is it Narragansett?
Yeah.
I think that's where she is. She's not really in a town. She's kind of just, she has her own enclave out there. But
I can only imagine.
But I know it took forever to get out there driving. Because she invited me out on a Saturday, and the weather was really nice. It was like in May. But anyway, well, fire away, Darren. You got a pretty vivid looking house.
Well, I mean, if I had an 8x10 or an 8x11 of you, it'd be on that wall. So we'll save that for the next interview. But congratulations on Acidman. I say that because you clearly put a lot of work into this movie, where it's fascinating, it's funny, it's touching. So you're managing to pull off the drama, the comedy, sci-fi all at the same time. Was it a difficult movie for you to make?
It was not. Because we had a 9-month pandemic layup before we got to Oregon and started shooting. And I read the script in the summer of 20. We didn't shoot until May and June of 21. And so I had the luxury of all that time, Diane in New York, Alex in LA, me in rural Texas, just getting on the phone whenever we really wanted to, and just going through, talking about our lives, talking about what parts of our lives and relationships with fathers and daughters,
right,
could plug in and help us kind of organically fine tune the script and the characters. So I've never had that. I mean, I worked on Spider-Man 3 for 2 years. But it was so fragmented over those 2 years. This was like 9 months of not really being distracted by anything else.
Right.
I mean, I did have to do some remote work on No Way Home in 20 and 21. But Alex wasn't working on anything, and Diana wasn't working on anything else. And so, and No Way Home didn't take up that much of my time over that, that year that they were making the movie. So yeah, that was the best part, is we just had so much time to really rehearse and refine, and I think it's on screen.
Absolutely agreed. When you signed on to the film, was it called Acidman, or is there a working title?
No, it was Acidman. Yeah, that was the name of the script. I believe, I don't know. So a lot of it, the roots of a lot of it is Alex and his relationship with his father. And, but a lot of other stuff came in too. Like I said, from other father paternal relationships. But I don't remember. I don't think where he lived in rural Pennsylvania. I don't think they called Alex's dad Acidman, but I think they did. The locals did have some kind of a nickname, but I think organically Alex wanted to get away from that. And it was just something that he and his co-writer, Chris, I believe, came up with.
Had you filmed much in Oregon before this film?
Never. I'd shot in a couple of some things in Seattle, and feels like a lot of stuff in Vancouver.
Right.
But we were in very rural Oregon. We were nowhere near Portland, and nowhere near where's University of Oregon? What's that town?
Is that Bend?
Is it Bend?
Eugene?
It's like
one of those.
Eugene. I think it's Eugene, or maybe it's Bend. But where that's in Central Oregon, we were in South Central, but very rural where we were. I mean, the town that we lived in, it's like 300 people. It was really small, really small. So no, I'd never been there.
So it sounded like you had nothing to do but work on the film, that there was
and
no
drive around, really beautiful, beautiful country. Yeah, but no, we spent a lot of time. If we weren't actually shooting, you know, we were scouting, or, you know, Alex would want to get together with myself and Diana, and, you know, we would just do scene work, and, you know, so yeah, there was nothing to be distracted by.
So this is a new movie for us, but for you, it's a couple of years ago. And looking at the IMDb page, there's 4 or 5 upcoming things. Are you allowed to say what's next after Acidman?
There's a few things that I'm working on, that are right now. I have something that I'm supposed to do this spring. Then in the summer, I'm doing a role in Horizon, which is big Kevin Costner series of Westerns. And Kevin asked me literally at the beginning of last year, if I would do a role in a couple of the movies. And then he came back to me last year later just to kind of update me. And then he and I talked again, really just I think we talked again in January, and he just wanted to once again give me an idea of, but that's happening, I think, in Montana this summer. And then I have another picture in the fall that I'm doing.
Deception Road, The Happy Worker, Chocolate Lizards, is that one?
Lizards is coming out. We've already shot that. Happy Worker, we've shot that. Those are coming out. In fact,
Cool.
Lizards is in competition at the Dallas International Film Festival at the end of April. And what else? Deception Road, I'm not sure where that's at. And then this summer I have a big limited Sony Peacock limited called Twisted Metal that's coming out.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
glad to see that.
I don't know if you're a PlayStation guy ever.
Yes.
But yeah, Twisted Metal with Anthony Mackie and Stephanie Beatrice and myself. Who else is in it? Will Arnett is in it. Will Arnett is doing Sweet Tooth. So yeah, it's big.
Is Stephanie Beatrice doing her regular voice or her high voice in it?
No, she's very much doing her regular.
Okay.
She plays, I dare say, a badass in the show, and yeah, she's great in it. She and I are I'm really the villain. You know, do you know Twisted Metal at all?
Yes.
You do. Well, you know that Sweet Tooth he's kind of his own brand, and then I'm really I'm the villain. Sweet Tooth is he kind of plays both sides.
I believe you can pull that off. Well, I'm looking forward to that. And 2 quick questions, and then I'll let you roam free. And the first question I've got for you is, was there ever an opportunity for you to have your own vineyard based on just how influential Sideways is decades later?
I was never interested in that. I was asked to by a couple of vineyards in Santa Barbara County if I would, kind of like be their spokesperson and the truth of the matter is I don't drink wine. I don't really like wine. And
Love that.
I was always very upfront about that in all the press that we did. And so, it was very kind of them to ask, but I didn't feel like an authentic fit for me to do that, to just take their money and not, not like I said, authentically represent them.
Right.
And I was never interested in having my own. And by the way, where I am in Texas, the Texas wine country is literally blowing up, like not even far from where I live. Between Kerrville and Austin, it's just going bonkers.
So
That's
if you
become
have a
the
change
Texas
of
wine
heart,
country.
it's easy to get into business down there.
Yeah.
And last question for you. Who's your favorite band? I couldn't figure that out through easy Googling.
Oh, my favorite band? Oh, God.
You seem like a rock guy.
Oh, I'm very much a rock guy. I would say that's because it spans 50 years of, starting off listening when I was a kid to my older sister. I have 3 older sisters, all of their record collections, but then developing my own taste in the 80s or the 70s and the 80s. But I would say it's funny because my go-to answer was always Van Halen.
You need like this Cabo Wabo shirt and this David mug.
There you go. It was always Van. I didn't even notice it. It was Van Halen for a long time, but then I kind of got tired of them, even though I'd never admit that in open court. But now, who do I really dig a lot? I don't know. You know what? I would have to say over the last 45 years or so, I would have to say it's probably the 70s collection of Aerosmith. Big Aerosmith fan, still am. I mean, on my, my playlist in my truck, there's probably more Aerosmith on that playlist, more Aerosmith than Van Halen than anybody else. But there's a lot of newer stuff. Do you know this guy Hardy?
Yes. Yeah.
You know who he is? I think he's a country guy, but he put out a rock album.
Yes.
And there's this song, Jack, that's been getting a ton of airplay, and it's actually excellent. It's a really good hard rock song. So I've kind of been paying attention to Hardy lately.
Paltrocast.